Hello, hello, how are we all doing? Welcome to another painting stream on a miserable and windy Valentine's Day Sunday lunchtime. How is everyone doing? See, we've got Dave and Andy in the chat. How are we doing, guys? We all getting some hobby in today? I did set up another little screen here, but it's not showing me the chat, which is a little bit annoying. So apologies if I'm squinting towards the screen. So yeah, today we're going to be carrying on with Khagra's Ravagers. Been having a little bit of a play doing non-metallic metal effects. Did a little test piece on Sigvald yesterday, if we just get him out. Just playing with the technique. So, I don't know if he needs a bit of a glaze or maybe some more definition for the darker areas. But yeah, pretty happy with how he turned out. So we're going to be applying the same kind of effect onto the gold areas on the Ravagers. And then, yeah, I think we're going to have to try and do all the metals using non-metallic methods. So I've given, since last time, I've kind of touched up a few bits. We've gone round and done the edge highlights on the black. Some of them look a little bit chunky, so I might go back in with a black and just make those lines a bit less chunky on there. Done a little bit of detailing on the bone. We've got a grey down ready on the metal areas as well, so we can do those properly later on. But yeah, they're coming along. Also done the faces on the leader and the mage as well. Again, needs a little bit of a work, but I wanted a bit more of a unnatural pale colour on her. Might go back in with another wash and start picking out the kind of lines again. And then on the leader, she's pretty much done face-wise, if it focuses. Maybe just some glaze on the lower lip and around the eye, just to add a bit of definition there. But other than that, we're looking pretty good. So, what we're going to do is get together our colours for doing the non-metallic gold. And yeah, we'll start putting this together. So, what I did yesterday was spent a bit of time mixing a set of 4 paints that we'll use for this effect. So I've used the Instar Alpha range here and put together base colour there, which is 3 parts yellow, 1 part magenta and 1 part white, I believe. Then we've put together a wash and 2 yellowy highlight colours. So we'll have a play with that and see how it turns out. With Sigvald, basically what I did was kind of start with each colour and then kind of like mix in the next colour to try and get some transition. So we'll see how that goes. These paints were already really thin, so there's really no need to thin them as well, which makes them really easy to do this kind of stuff with. So what we'll do, we'll start off with this base and we'll apply it to all the areas where there's kind of gold trim. So there's quite a lot. This will probably take a good chunk of the stream getting these down. And then by the time we've finished the last model, the first one should be ready for the washes then. And then I thought, while we're waiting for the washes to dry, we might do a bit of work on Sigvald as well. So, yeah. So what are you guys up to today? Is everyone looking forward to the Slaanesh and Daughters of Cain books? Super excited to have been able to have a look at those a little bit early. I think some of the silly stuff has been toned down a bit. So, you know, people who liked running a big block of 30 witch elves, buffed up to the nines, probably aren't going to be the biggest fans of the book. But as far as I'm concerned, there wasn't a fun list to play against. So I'm kind of glad that they've rectified that. It's, for me, I mean, I'm no pro tournament player, but for me, it's all about the enjoyment of playing games rather than trying to have a win at all costs Uber list. So I know some people are a bit more kind of serious into the gaming side of things, so may disagree. But I like the books. I think they've taken off some of the rough edges. Same with the Slaanesh book as well. They have basically toned down the mechanic that made your opponent fight last, which was very frustrating to play against. So I'm I'm glad that's changed a little bit, because it wasn't its biggest fan, to be honest. When now it just stops you from piling in, which has still got its uses. That's still a pretty powerful ability. You've just got to be a bit cleverer with how you apply it. I really like the new Bliss Barb Archers as well, but I think they're 160 points, which is a little bit on the pricey side. So yeah, it's not the... I think you have an elite army. You're not going to be able to have like massive hordes, unless you go with Demonettes maybe, and don't have any of the new toys. I think it's going to be very much an elite force that then tries to summon in some demons. It sounds fun. It sounds really fun as far as I'm concerned. So yeah, looking forward to finally being able to have some games with it. Now, if you check out the YouTube channel or the website, we've got a video review and a full written review up as well, where we have a talk about what's changed, what we like, what we don't like, that kind of stuff. I'm a bit sad that the Slangors aren't the greatest unit in the universe, because I really wanted to paint like a million of them. I might still do anyway, because they were really nice models. But yeah, unfortunately, I think in points they're a little bit too expensive for what they do, which is a shame. So we have got so Andy Wood says Corn Dragon versus Craig's daughters. So back, in fact, it's on the YouTube channel. If Dave, if you can find it, if you can link it in the chat, that'd be great. We did a battle report when Vorgraf, the big dragon, came out, and yeah, he didn't get on too well against the daughters. Pretty much a block of 30 daughters with all the various buffs and witch brew and all that silliness on them. Took him out in pretty much one combat phase. It was a horrendous experience. And I know, in fact, I know both Dave and Andy in the chat have been on the receiving end of Daughters of Cain in tournaments. In particular, Daughters comboed with Idenith Deepkin at a doubles event, and yeah, I think you both are still traumatized from that, which is yeah, I don't know. I'm really excited to put together a snake based Daughters of Cain list. I've always liked the snake models, the Melusai and the Canary. I think they're really fun, and now you can do a pretty decent force with just those. The new Iron Scale's really nice. Lets those units run 2d6, shoot and charge. So really impressed with her. And yeah, there's a way to get the Snake Ladies up to 6 attacks each, using various buffs and synergies across the army. So yeah, so that's a bit of fun. So just putting this one on. We will probably need another coat of this, just to, because I'm going over a black overcoat, where with Zigvold it was going over white. In hindsight, I probably should have painted these areas white again, but we shouldn't have any issues here. We'll put that over it again, another coat, and then we'll be able to start going in with the washes and tidying this up a little bit. But yeah, so basically the main thing we're trying to do here is create the illusion of gold without it actually being gold. So by building up kind of browny yellows up to a yellow, then with like a pure white highlight at the end, we'll kind of create the illusion of reflections. If you've ever seen the old Dante model, I think was painted in non-metallic colours, as is the new Zigvold model, the heavy metal one, is done in non-metallic colours, and it looks really cool. So trying to go for a similar effect with these. Right, so that's... Do we took gold on there? I think we do gold at the end of the axe as well. So yeah, this brush needs it clean. So let's have a look what we're working on. So Andy Woods is painting his Mega Gargant. That's really cool. I've got one to paint and one to build, and then yeah, hopefully they should be able to hit the battlefield whenever this madness ends. And Dave, what are you working on, dude? Oh, he's dry brushing some Necron Warriors. Excellent. So yeah, Dave's been on a bit of a Necron Warrior painting spree. Doing really well on his challenge to get a unit painted every week. So yeah, looking forward to seeing what he's painting. What are you painting this week, Dave? I know you had been working on some Warriors, did you say? Oh no, Warriors, yeah. Cool. I wasn't sure if you'd got distracted and started painting the Ravagers yourself. These are really nice models. I'm looking forward to the various warbands coming out because they're a nice little palette cleanser to paint in between projects. I'm particularly looking forward to the vampires. I think they're my favourite ones. But in the absence of actually being able to play any games, my plan is get some of the painting backlog done this year. So hopefully we should have some new armies to play with once lockdown ends. What I've also done is kept the shields on the sprues just to make it a bit easier to get into the actual detail of the model, because I think they'd get in the way a little bit. And the bases are separate as well, just because there's quite a bit of detail on those bases, so it's a bit easier to keep them all separate. Right, now we've got a bit more detail here, so we've got kind of a gold trim going up here that disappears into the fur. We've then got this like brooch breastplate kind of thing going on, so that will be gold as well. Pop some paint on there. Yeah, hoping to have at least, what time are we on? At least a lot of the gold done for the end of the stream. And then really we've only got some finishing touches on the model then. We'll need to do the silver effects, which again I'm going to try and do in a non-metallic style. Just because with these models, the various Underworlds warbands as they're coming out this year, I want to try and use them to like practice different painting techniques. Because they work quite well as that, because they're not, they're not necessarily going to be part of an army. They're just kind of one-off miniatures I'll be painting up, so I don't need to worry about replicating these techniques, or if something doesn't work, it's not going to look great over the whole army. And if it does work, then yeah, definitely I can apply those to other models. I've got Sam in the chat. How are we doing? Painting the last 10 Mortic Guard, and I have my first 2,000 points army painted. Excellent. How are you finding painting the Bone Reapers? They are some really nice models. I really like Catacross. I think he's probably my favourite model from that range. But the Mortek Guard for your basic infantry are really, really nice. Yeah, I really quite like them. Problem is, too many armies on the go. I very nearly ordered a load of Slaanesh models over the weekend, but I've got so many models to paint. I've got a load of Slaanesh demons that need doing, so what I'll probably do is get the demons finished off. I've got a load of Melusai that need building because, as I said earlier, going to go heavy Snake Daughters of Cain, which is really cool to do now. And I've also just picked up a load of Marvel Crisis Protocol miniatures, which had somehow it slipped off my radar entirely. I wasn't aware of this game really until the other guys had mentioned it. I think David mentioned it in the chat one night, and I think I thought it was a different game. I'd missed this entirely, and they're really nice plastic models. Once I've done this, I'll grab one from behind me and just kind of show you the detail on those. I was really, really impressed with how they went together. There are some of the models are a little bit fiddly. So Captain Marvel was a little bit of a pain to build because her arm is in two separate sections. But all the other ones have been absolutely fine. Had no issues with them. So yeah, looking forward to getting some paint on them. In fact, depending on how we go and if we get them primed over the week, I might even start painting some Marvel figures on this stream next week, because yeah, I really want to paint them up and do them in like classic comic book colours, comic book style. So they'll be like high contrast, maybe even like a cel shaded look if I can do it. Definitely try and do the metals non-metallic, because they would be in the comic book. So yeah, just trying to do them justice really. So yeah, that should be fun. I've just noticed I've got paint on the back of this camera here, so yeah. So we've got this bit of arm guard here to do. So we'll just go it there. Pretty happy with how the cloaks and everything turned out on here, following the last stream that we did. Again, this has been very much lots of experimenting with different styles. And you know, if something doesn't work, you can always fix it. You can always fix it. That's the way I look at it. It's better to practice, get something wrong, and then learn something, rather than be scared to try a different technique. So that's my logic for these guys, because you know there's only 4 of them. If I make a mess of them, I can always go back and touch them up. But at least, hopefully, I'll learn some different techniques doing this. So yeah, painting trim is always a bit of a funny one, isn't it? Because you've got to be quite careful not to get the rest of the model covered, to the point where some people, well, say if you're doing this with a traditional gold, spray it gold then paint in the black, I suppose is another option. The new Slaanesh guys, the Painbringers, I think you've got a lot of gold areas where you'd probably be best doing that. My Varangard as well, there's a lot of gold trim on them, so went in with a gold spray first, and then yeah, painted in the black. I've kind of done it the other way around here, painted the black and now I'm doing the gold. Mostly because I've got this non-metallic metal effect going on, so you really need to do it by brush. You could get the base colours down with the airbrush, I suppose, or if you've got a fine enough brush, you could probably hit the highlights with it as well. But yeah, just the way I've decided to work these ones myself. So Sam says, agreed, Catacross was great fun. Being able to break it down into the 5 models and a base made it manageable. Yeah, so I do like to leave big models like that in sub-assemblies if I can. The big fella for the Head Knights of Slaanesh, I forget his name now. Oh, it's gone. But the big mortal character, he is a really cool model, but I imagine you probably want to leave him separate for painting. I haven't seen the kit or the sprues yet, so I'm not sure how he goes together. But I imagine, like with Catacross, at least the various characters you should be able to split up and have into, you know, basically 5 little heroes you can paint up, rather than having to face them all in one go. If you can, and again it depends on how the kit goes together, having the palanquin, the ogres pulling it separately as well. Yeah, I'd probably have that in as many pieces as possible, just to make it easier to get the paintbrush in some of those places. So yeah, he's definitely one on the shopping list, but like I said, I'm going to try and get some of the stuff painted first, and then we can come back to him. So that's her done, I think. Nope, we've got the back of the handles. Just need to pick those out. You can see that. So, and again, we'll go back in and do another coat where we can tidy up a little bit, and then we'll be going over all this with a wash anyway, so it's not the end of the world if we go a little bit stray here. Right, so we've got this guy. So, what have we got gold here? We've got trim on there, we've got trim on there. I'm going to do this gold here, just so it mirrors the gold detail on the leader model. Don't think we've got any trim on those areas, so just probably... Oh, in fact he hasn't, has he? So, what we'll do then is the handle of the dagger will do gold there. This detailing on the sword will do gold as well. So, kind of free-forming it at the minute. Again, just a mixture of different colours, see how they go. The thing with this technique, it's going to look a bit mustard until you kind of get the other colours in, so don't worry if it is looking a bit yellow at this point, because it's all about really building up this effect. Lots of illusion in making this guy. So again, we'll pick out these gold areas. And I think I'm going to do this little bit at the bottom gold as well. So, yeah, he's looking alright. I don't know if that's focusing for you guys. Is that any better if I move him out of the way? It's starting to focus now. Cool. So Dave says, Marvel's Crisis Protocol looks mint. Defo need that game in my life. Yeah, it's a really nice game. The big box, I think RRP is like 100 quid, but you can get it cheaper. You can get it cheaper elsewhere. I think I paid 60 quid for my copy, and that comes with the kind of quick start rules, all the cards that you need, all the dice. It comes with some scenery, and it comes with 10 characters. The way that you build your army is a bit different. Basically, you'll bring 10 superheroes along, and then you'll determine what the mission is, and then the mission will have a points value based on what the objective is, and you will then make your force out of the 10 characters that you've brought. So I think that's pretty cool. I think that's a little bit how Infinity works, where you bring a selection of models and make your force from that. You don't have to have various allegiances together, so if you wanted a force of, say, I don't know, Deadpool, Magneto, Spider-Man and Rocket Raccoon, you could do, though you do get bonuses for having themed allegiances. So, for example, if you brought the Guardians of the Galaxy, led by Star-Lord, Peter Quill, and had a couple of the Guardians models in there, you will get like a bonus for those models. I think the ruling is at least half of your force has to be from that allegiance to get the bonus. So in that example, as long as you had half of your kind of warband from the Guardians of the Galaxy, you could still take Magneto or Deadpool or whoever with them. So I think that's pretty cool. It gives you a bit of freedom for how you make your force, and yeah, I think that's a good thing. So we've got the shield on this guy, so we're going to be a bit careful here, because obviously we don't really want to go over the black that we've done in the previous step. If we do though, it's not the end of the world. We'll just go back in with the black and touch up any mistakes that we make. So yeah, it seems that there's a lot of models I want to paint this year. Curse City looks amazing. Even the new, and now I've only painted the Lumineth out of the Diachasm box, Mayari's Purifiers, but I actually really enjoyed painting them as well. So yeah, I don't know if I'd get a full army, but I'd quite fancy fixing up the Fox Spirit. I forget its name, Severant something or other, because it looks amazing. And like I say, at the minute, it's a weird one, isn't it? Because we're not playing any games, so yeah, we've got a bit more time to just paint and get things ready for when the world returns to normal. Andy says the Asgardians of the Galaxy. Well, yeah, of course. Thor's going to be in there too. There is an Asgard faction in the game as well, where you can take Thor, Valkyrie, Hela, and Loki, I think, are in it. And again, you only need to take half of them to get the allegiance ability, so Yeah, I think it's quite a fun system. You're not too restricted. You've got quite a bit of freedom to pick whoever you want. So yeah, I am just gonna do his little top knot thing there in gold as well. Yeah, you've got quite a bit of freedom to pick whoever you like. So once I've built all the models, I'll be painting those up, and then yeah, we'll probably have a few episodes on the stream working on those, because I want to try and do a decent job at them and keep them in kind of traditional comic book colours. I think that'd be a bit of fun. Alright, and then finally we got her. I think she's got less gold on her than the other ones. There's a little bit around here. There's the thing around her neck. So let's go in and do these. So what are people thinking out of the two new books? What do people prefer? The Daughters of Cain and the Head Knights of Slaanesh. I've got armies for both of them, and I do really like that both armies have got new options. There's been some mixed thoughts online. Again, I've got a feeling a lot of that is probably from the people who enjoyed taking big blocks of witch elves, re-rolling all hits, re-rolling all wounds. Which, let's face it, that wasn't a terribly fun unit to play against. And likewise, Slaanesh in the previous incarnation, pretty much denying the opponent the combat phase, I don't think was terribly fun. So personally, I really like the new book. I think it's made them a lot more fun to play against, and I'll actually be writing an article on the website in the coming week about the importance of an army being fun to play against for the longevity of the game. It's obviously people want to win games, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I think it's worth remembering that the purpose of the game is to have fun. So yeah, that should come first before anything else. And if any mechanics make the game not fun, they should be addressed. So this is something they've done in 40k by limiting stacking to hit and to wound modifiers, which coincidentally is something that we can see now in the Head Knights of Slaanesh book. But hopefully it's something that we see addressed maybe in the next edition of the game. You know, maybe a maximum -1/+1 to hit modifier on hits and wounds would make things interesting. And then multiple modifiers are still useful, because then they can counteract any coming in from the enemy as well. So I think that's a good thing. Andy says both, but a Chaos Man first. Yeah, I'm torn. I love Slaanesh. I've got a massive Slaanesh army, but I also really, really like the Daughters of Cain. In particular, the Melusai and the Scathborn, basically the non-elf units. I think they really kind of make the army feel Age of Sigmar, if that makes sense, rather than just being witch elves. So yeah, the fact that the non-witch elf units are good now, I really like. Even the Warlocks, Doomfire Warlocks, have had a bit of a update as well. They now hit a little bit harder. I think they've got a bit of a longer range on their bows. So, and those models still look good as well, considering they're quite old models from the world that was. I'm quite happy that they've had a bit of an update. So yeah, hard thing is there's so many armies I'd love to play and paint, but unfortunately not enough hours in the day to do all of them. So yeah, I'm gonna pick and choose my armies, I'm afraid. First job's getting the Sons of Bahamut done, because I really enjoyed playing with them in the one game that we've managed to have with them before lockdown. So yeah, really want to get those guys finished and ready for the battlefield. So I might actually start building the final Mega Gargant after this stream.
Motion detected at the front door.
So, right, so that is her. We might do this little emblem gold as well. My camera doesn't seem to be focusing all day. It's alright, it's having a bit of a faff today. So we'll pop that in there. And again, these little patchy at the minute, we're going to go back in with a second layer just to neaten them up a little bit. Okay, so then we've got the shields to do. So just give them a brush, a quick clean, and we'll go in and we'll paint the trim on these shields as well. So Andy said, I'm painting 400 points of Slaanesh Giant. Slaanesh Giant? That's interesting. What's Slaaneshi about the Giant, Andy? How are you doing it? Oh, and thanks, Dave, for linking in the Sons of Bahamut versus Iron Jaws battle report, where it was a fun game, wasn't it, Dave? There was a few. We were a little bit rusty because it was literally our first game with the new battle tome, and probably our first game of Age of Sigmar for about, I don't know, a long time. So yeah, we're a little bit rusty on that video, but it was certainly a fun game and nice way to be able to try out the Sons of Bahamut. I thoroughly enjoyed using them. They I don't know, like Imperial Knights, there's something just fun about having a big, strong, low model count army that can stomp around, kick objectives and get up to mischief, basically. So yeah, really enjoyed doing those. Oh, Andy Wood says he likes pain. Okay. A Slaaneshi Giant. That sounds terrifying. Almost as terrifying as Sigvald's choice in clothing. He's not changed since he got to the Mortal Realms, has he? So yeah, painting Sigvald's rear, maybe a bit X-rated for the stream, I'm afraid. So yeah, we're blocking in where the gold areas are going to be here. Again, we'll go back over this just to smoothen it all out. Obviously, where we remove it from the sprue as well, we're just going to have to tidy it up a little bit. But that won't be the end of the world. That should be fairly easy to do. But yeah. Like I say, I had a quick test on these colours last night, and I'm happy with Sigvald turned out, though that was over a white undercoat, so we'll just have to see how this works over black. Once we've got a second coat on here, though, that should brighten it up a little bit. Okay, and we've got a little bit of gold on the inside as well. Probably won't be able to see this on the finished model, but hey, we'll paint it anyway. Dave says drafty from behind. It certainly is for Sigvald. I think the old model was sculpted that way too. I noticed while painting it up last night. Maybe that's why he gets +3 to the charge. You know, he's not got heavy plate armor slowing him down. Boom. Yeah, really enjoyed Warhammer Underworlds. I can't remember the last time I managed to play a game. It's been a weird old year. I think a lot of people might be in the same boat and be quite rusty at Warhammer by the time we get back to the real world. Oops. Because I know there's Tabletop Simulator and the like, but I don't know, for me, the enjoyment I get is from pushing painted models around the table and rolling dice. You don't quite get that when you're doing it in a kind of virtual representation of the table. I always described playing Tabletop Simulator as trying to have a game of Warhammer while drunk with one hand strapped behind your back. And I still stand by that. I know some people get on with it, and that's fine. I just don't think it'll ever be as enjoyable as a real game of Warhammer for me. Because let's face it, I'm more about the miniatures and the fun of just rolling some dice and a bit of banter before any actual tactical decisions. But that's just what I enjoy in the game. It's even at tournaments, I'll tend to take a fun list rather than one that might actually win games. And the way a lot of tournaments work, that works out really well because you'll tend to end up playing people at a similar skill level with similar kind of lists. So all your hardcore, decent tournament players will end up on the top tables, and then you'll have some people down on the lower tables with maybe some more fun narrative, let's say, lists who are just out for a good time. If you do go to any events, I highly recommend the Throne of Skulls. They're more of a casual event. I don't mean that in like a derogatory way. They're my event of choice, but it's more about the sportsmanship and the painting than the gaming. You know, you can get just as many points from having a gorgeous army and being, a good sportsman as you do from actually winning games. So, yeah, for me, that's the kind of event I like to go to. I just find that a bit more fun. So, let's do the back of this shield. And then we'll go back and give everything just one more coat. Just to get this a bit more solid. And then we'll be able to go in with washes and just finish this off. And then once the washes are dry, we can start then creating this non-metallic effect. So yeah, a little bit time consuming doing trim and stuff, but it is what it is. If you are looking to do this kind of thing in a kind of like true metallic style, one thing that I was told, which kind of blew me away, use gold Sharpie. So I've got one here, and just go around the trim with them. Dead easy to do it with a paintbrush. Takes no time at all. All my Titans, I do the trim in that way, and it's a game changer. It makes it so much easier to do lots of gold trim in a short space of time. It can be frustrating otherwise. So we'll pop them over there to dry, and we'll just go in and give another coat just to these areas, just so we get a nice smooth surface on them. And again, this time what I've done is pre-mixed some colours in bottles, just because obviously I knew I was using all these colours quite a lot in this process. So rather than trying to have to mix them up every time, I just put them in bottles. So I Insta actually sell kind of like empty bottles and agitators to put them in ready. So I picked up some of them, and I'll probably be going through now and making a few different batches of kind of go-to colours. Coloured metallics in particular, I'm looking forward to mixing some up. See, I'm torn. I don't know whether to do like Iron Man with kind of metallic, like a metallic red, or to try and do it in a non-metallic style. I think I'll have to get the miniatures primed and then make my decision. What do you guys think? Would you do the Marvel characters non-metallic to make them look kind of comic book accurate? Or would you go with like real metallics to make them look movie accurate? The models are based on the comics. I don't believe they've got the like film license, but let's face it, a lot of the film costumes are very close, if not identical, to the comic book incarnations. So yeah, it should be pretty fun. Right, that's looking a bit more solid on that one now. I'll just do behind here. Boom. And we'll just do behind the sword. Right. Cool. Let's do there. Okay, so that's that one done. Put this in here. Right. Now I don't know if my chat is gone. There's no action in the chat yet. So if you're talking to me and I can't see what you're saying, apologies. I have an app on my phone here that should show me the chat, but for whatever reason it isn't working, so I fear we may have some technical issues. Hopefully the stream looks like it's still running though, so if you're chatting, apologies. I don't think I can currently see your responses, so yeah, sorry about that. So yeah, we will carry on painting the gold areas on this though. There's something quite therapeutic about doing this. It's yeah, it takes a little bit of time and a little bit of patience, but it's quite relaxing just going around. Oh, Andy says boo. That came through on the chat. That's good. Good to see you are alive out there, Andy. So what's everyone's favourite Underworlds warband out of the ones that we've seen for this season? I think we've seen a lot of them now. I think it's only the Bone Reapers and the Idenith Deepkin that we haven't seen any models for. So yeah, we certainly do seem to be going through them at a rapid pace. And they are gorgeous, gorgeous models. I'm looking forward to painting all of them up. This is looking a bit washed out, so we'll just go back in and give these another coat. Right, so we have got yellow down on those. This guy seems to have the less kind of gold edges on him. So we'll just touch up the few bits that we've done. I think the belt buckle will do silver just to differentiate it from the other areas. Andy says vampires all the way. Yeah, they are really nice. I think they're the best vampire models Games Workshop have done. Though I suppose we haven't seen the big bad vampire from Cursed City yet, so I have a feeling that he's going to be really cool. I know there was mixed response to the leaked vampire that we saw, who is in a blister, so I still do think we're going to see a vampire faction at some point. Now that we've got Slaanesh and Daughters of Cain out the way, that means the next release is probably going to be the Lumineth Realm Lord stuff, and then hopefully I'd love to see them do vampires as a proper tie-in to Cursed City, because yeah, proper classic undead would be great. I know we've got the Legions of Nagash book, but that's quite an old book now, so I'd like to see in fact I did an article for this on the website. I'd like to see proper kind of proper vampire army, classic vampire army. So you've got a couple of powerful vampires, and then the majority of your army is made up of skeletons and things that go bump in the night. I think that better represents a vampire army rather than an elite army of just vampires. I really don't think we'll see anything like that. If we get Blood Knights, there might be an option. You know, they become battle line, and there's some options to take them. But I I do think that if we do get them, it'll be proper classic undead reimagined with an Age of Sigmar twist. Because let's face it, the Bone Reapers are pretty much Tomb Kings reimagined with an Age of Sigmar twist. So yeah, I think we'll see something similar. Less reliant on buffs maybe, and be more a kind of powerful, hardcore horde army. We got to deal with all the various summons and skeletons and stuff before they overwhelm you, which would be really cool. Sam says, I agree about a full game of 40k or AOS, but Warhammer Underworlds is great in tabletop simulator. Played a few games with Khagra's Ravagers, and the desecration rules are fun, if tough to pull off. Yeah, okay. So I think smaller based games work better. I've tried to play some Middle Earth on it, and anything when you got scenery and stuff on the table, it became an absolute nightmare to play. So yeah, some board games work quite well in it as well. I think it's just getting used to how it handles. It can be a little bit what's the diplomatic way of putting it? A little bit unresponsive, maybe hard to control. I had a nightmare with it, but yeah, Underworlds is not a bad shout because obviously you've got a lower model count. You've got less moving pieces that can kind of fall over and glitch out. Cool. So I think we've got the base yellow down on most of them. We'll just touch up the shields, and then we'll be in position to go in with the wash. So again, we'll just put another coat on here, just so we've got a solid base on these. So I'm by no means a master of non-metallic metal, having painted a grand total of one model last night, but I thought we'd more have a kind of experiment together and see how it turns out. So let's block this in a bit more. And it'll look a little bit messy in the beginning stages, but it will slowly start to come together as we put in the different highlights and shades and stuff. That's where it kind of, the magic of creating the different reflections and stuff will start. And then at that point we might be ready to attach the shields to the arm as well, just so we can kind of get the reflections going in the right directions. So I think that one's done. We'll just go in with this one, just need a little bit more paint. Is there a PC version of Underworlds? There is indeed. It is available on Steam. I don't think all the warbands are in the game yet, but they're gradually introducing them. But it's it's pretty much the full Warhammer Underworlds rule set, but playable online. So if you're an Underworlds fan, definitely check that out. It's very much like the Blood Bowl video game. It pretty much plays just like the physical game, which is good. Something we tend to see not a lot of. I think the worry has always been if there was a video game version of Warhammer Fantasy that played just like the tabletop game, then people wouldn't play the tabletop game. And I kind of see that logic, but again, it's the same with the difference between playing through Tabletop Simulator and playing kind of with a physical game. For me, it's all about the aesthetic of seeing all those painted miniatures facing off against each other, and the tactile element of rolling dice. Obviously, those who prefer the more kind of tactical side of things probably aren't as fussed as I am on that, and would happily play it digitally. And obviously at the minute where we can't really play games with other people, then yeah, Tabletop Simulator does have an advantage there, where at least you can get some games of Warhammer in. But yeah, it depends on what you want from the game, doesn't it? Right, so we've nearly done this trim on this one. Still a little bit patchy here, so I think I might just need another coat on that. We'll just pick out this Chaos Star, and then we'll just go back in and just tidy that up a little bit. The patchiness may not matter too much on there, because it is kind of centered where I want the shadows to be anyway, so it may have worked anyway once I've got the wash on and got those areas darker, because essentially we want a contrast between dark and light areas in order to create the illusion of the light hitting the higher areas. Caring Commissar, good afternoon people, how are we doing? Good to see a caring Commissar in the chat as opposed to the type that shoots you in the head for disobeying orders. How are you doing? What are you working on today? I'm having a play with non-metallic metal effects. So after a bit of a tester on Zigvold yesterday, I'm using the same colours to go in on Khagra's Ravagers from Warhammer Underworlds, and just have a play and see how they turn out. So we have got them done. So the next step is going to be going in with the wash to create that kind of definition. So while that's drying, if I show you Zigvold that we did yesterday. So on Zigvold, basically what we've done is we've painted it all in that first kind of base colour, then we've hit it all with a kind of brownie wash. So it's kind of collected in the recesses, brought them down a little bit, and then we can go in with the lighter colours to try and create that effect of light hitting the armour. I'm not sure if I've completely pulled it off, but I'm fairly happy for a first go. I don't know if he needs maybe a glaze or something just to pull the colours together, but yeah, fairly happy for a first attempt. So that is what we're going to be trying to recreate on these models. So the wash is like green, we've got orange, and we've got water plus in there just to make it into a wash consistency. And this should just kind of tint that colour, and then we can leave that in the lower areas. We'll go back over it with this colour then as a highlight, and then work through progressively lighter yellows. And then finally, if I've got one to hand, we'll go in with a white just to kind of put a little spot of light on the extreme highlights. So we'll start with the first of the Ravagers. So again, we'll get this washed down and we'll start putting this into it. So, again, we'll just get a good amount of this in here. And this will kind of bring down that yellow effect we've got going on as well. So, a few little bits we'll need to go back and tidy up later on, but it's not the end of the world. So we'll do that. We'll do that. Okay. We'll pop these in here. Ba-ba-ba-bum. So, Andy, if you're still in the chat, are you up for, if we can't do it in the flash, playing some remote Cursed City when the time comes? I think that's going to be a game that really lends itself to going to be able to play remotely. You know, we could easily have cameras set up and remotely get people to command the various adventurers while I pit the forces of the Cursed City against them. I think that might be a bit of fun. So, okay, so that has brought down those colours a little bit. They're not as kind of luminous yellow as they were before, and then we'll be able to build on that for the gold areas to get the kind of reflections and stuff in. That should work quite nicely. So we'll go through these guys and just do that wash on them all. And on this one, we've got this area here. And as this kind of like pulls into those areas, we should get a nice shaded effect on them. The Rising Ape. Hey folks, hey Rising Ape. How the devil are we? Good to see you in the chat today. What are you working on this fine day? Currently working on this Warhammer Underworlds warband and having a bit of an experimentation with non-metallic colours. So yeah, we're getting there. We've got the base kind of like yellow down, and now we're going in with a kind of greeny orange browny wash to shade these areas. And then we'll go back in with the base colour, and then we'll start our highlights. We'll probably need a small brush to do this on these guys. And he said, simply put, yes, yeah. I mean, hopefully by then we're out of some form of lockdown, but realistically, I think it's going to be a while till we can play games in person. So I really hope Warhammer Underworlds comes along sooner rather than later, because yeah, I think it'd be quite easy for us to be able to play games with that. It should be a bit of fun. So let's put this in there. Need a bit more of this colour, which I've put to one side. And again, this is quite therapeutic, going around and just putting this wash into these dark areas. It's quite mindless and relaxing, just popping those in. Green, Blood Bowl Orc skin to be exact. Oh, excellent. Are these the new orcs out of the latest Blood Bowl box? I need to build mine myself. I haven't got as far as building them yet. I think my Blood Bowl wise, the next team I want to paint up are the new undead guys. Mostly because the models look brilliant. So they're another entry on my painting list that needs doing. So definitely some stuff that I need to paint before we get into it. So yeah, that works. We'll then go in with this, and again we'll just carry on round, putting this brown wash onto all of these models. So it's slow progress doing this compared to just whacking a metallic on and then shading it, but I do feel it leads to a cool effect if you can pull it off. That's the key thing, if you can pull it off. This may go disastrously wrong, but hopefully it turns out okay. I hope it turns out. That's the point of this, though. Just a bit of a practice. Really happy with how Zigvold worked. So, and that was a really quick kind of test piece. So being able to spend a bit more time on these ones should be good. I basically want to learn how to do it properly by the time the new plastic Zigvold comes out, and then yeah, I can go to town and give that a proper treatment, because the studio model is absolutely gorgeous in those non-metallic styles. Okay, so we've got that done there, and then we've got the final member of the warband. We will go in and just do the same. So, what's going on in the chat? Rising Ape. Finished the human core team a couple of days ago. Got Nurgle's Rotters waiting on my desk too. For my daughter, those though. Nice. Yeah, I really like the majority of the Blood Bowl teams they put out. They're really characterful. I kind of hope we see a Chaos Dwarf team soon, because I think they could do great things with them. The old ones are still classics, but they are a little bit dated now, aren't they? So it'd be nice to see a new Chaos Dwarf team in the style of the new recent kits. I think that'd be really fun. Definitely something worth getting excited about if it did happen. We've got quite a few old teams that probably need redoing, haven't we? Norse haven't been done. We could see some crazy stuff like Bretonians, maybe. That'd be fun. Noblars. I suppose they've got them in the Ogre team, though, haven't they? And they'd be very similar to the Snotlings. What about you guys in the chat? Any teams that you'd like to see either brought back from old editions or entirely new ones invented? I think with Blood Bowl there's lots of room for some fun teams for them to invent and slot into the game. Cool, so we've got that down. Again, we'll go in with the shields, get the shading on them, and then we're probably in position to start highlighting these. So that should be fun. And yeah, this wash, it doesn't matter too much if it collects on the surface as well, because it'll give it a bit of a kind of pitted, worn effect, rather than the straight kind of yellow that we've done for the initial coat. So we'll pop that on there. And you could probably thin this a bit further to get like a contrast style paint as well. That's turned out alright. And what I'm going to do is just kind of wash these horns in the same colour, because I don't think I've actually picked those out previously. I'd love to see modern sculpts for Amazons and Khemri. Yes! Is Khemri the mummies? Khemri's absolutely the mummies, Andy. Yeah, that'd be ace. We were on about Curse City. I hope we do see some more kind of like reimagined old school undead units in it, like werewolves, mummies, that kind of stuff. I think that'd be really fun. Yeah, kind of like a old school Universal monster movies kind of army would be amazing. You can still have an Age of Sigmar twist to make them more Warhammer, but I just think there'd be something really fun. Like they've done with the skeletons, you've kind of got your classic Harryhausen style animated skeletons, but decked out in like armour as like city guards. I think that's a really fun thing. So we're getting there with this. Hopefully the first wash that I put down started to dry so we can highlight it. If not, what we'll do is we'll do a bit of work on Zigvold, but hopefully we should be in position to start putting the layers down. It's not necessarily the end of the world if this paint's a little bit wet as well, because then that will add to the kind of like blend transition that we want anyway. Okay, so that's the shield done. Don't know if you can see that. It's just brought it down from that very kind of bright yellow that we had previously. So what we're going to do, give the brush a clean, and we will start to go through these. Yeah, that should be okay. First with the initial base colour that we put down, so this kind of like mustardy yellow that we started with. And then we'll switch to a finer brush and start to put some kind of really kind of fine edge highlights in where the light's going to be like hitting the metal. And then we'll finish off with a little kind of just a pinprick of white just to finish it off. So hopefully this should turn out all right. So we'll go back in with the base, and again we'll be a bit more careful and kind of controlled on these ones, and just go in with a edge highlight. So where the light's going to be hitting the model. So again we've kind of got this upper surface here, and on the kind of spiky bits, just to start to kind of build up that illusion of light hitting the surface. So you've got a few areas where we just need to tidy it up and go back in on the black. We're just going in on the highlights on these. It can be a bit of a trial and error, just getting the illusion of the light hitting it. And then that will be kind of like made more prominent as we go in with the other colours. It's all about getting that contrast between the dark and the light areas. So this is probably a better example that the light is going to be hitting the areas on the top of this sword here. So that's the only real area we need to focus this highlight. And then on this area down here, if we're going to make this gold, what we're going to do is just this side, pop that in, and then as we go in with the other highlights, as we get closer towards this edge, we'll start to use lighter colours to get that reflection in. The actual like pinprick of the rivet or whatever it is as well. And then we're just going to try and get a split between the light and the dark, just as the reflection had hit it. Again, that'll become more prominent as we go in with more colours later on. And then again around here, it's just going to hit the top there. And the idea is just slowly build up these colour transitions till we get kind of a gold effect. So that's that one done. Next we'll go in with her. And again, by the time we've kind of gone round and done all the colours on these, we should be ready to go back in and start with the next colour. So I'm just kind of guessing at where the light's going to be hitting the model. You could, if you wanted to get it done perfectly, get some reference photos of some metallic surfaces and just see how the light plays over the surface. With Sigvald was a little bit different because obviously he had kind of the way the panels sit, the light's going to be hitting the top. With these you've got less surface to work with, so it's really about just building up those edge highlights. So for this one, for example, this kind of ridge that runs here, that you can't see because I'm not got it in shot, this ridge on the very edge of the armour is going to take the brunt of the light, so that's going to be our lightest source. And then as this, as this goes along here, just the top will get that, and we'll leave the dark colour in the lower areas. And again, it's not one you can rush because you're just gradually building up the effect on these. But already we're starting to see kind of that variance in the colour, so it's just a case of slowly going round and picking out all these. Again, like this sharp edge on there is going to get the light. And again on the back of here. Mostly on these surfaces here. and then on the other edges going down, we'll just get the light glinting off this gold. Brush it clean. Again, on the higher surfaces, and just the areas where the light's going to be hitting. So slow and steady on this one, just gradually building these layers up, and then what you can start to do then is blend in the next colour along with the existing one to just slowly build up this transition. So on this one you have quite a bit, put a bit more paint down. Because it's a bigger area, we can afford to have slightly chunkier highlights here. Oops. So pop those in there. And again, we're just picking out where the light's going to hit, making sure to keep some of the kind of the main recessed washed bits there, as well as some of the original base colour. Again, that's the thing with this, we're just creating the illusion of reflection, so that's looking okay. Let's on to the next one. There's less gold on this guy, but again, same principle. And on here, I think the light's going to hit the upper half of this. What we'll need to do is be careful to, when we do the silver, have the silver areas hitting the light in the same areas, otherwise it'll look a bit strange on the finished model. So I don't know if anyone else in the chat has ever had a play with this kind of effect before. It takes a while, but I'm pretty happy with how it's turning out. Again, it's going to be one of those ones that takes a lot of practice to master as well. For silver, I need to come with a decent range of different greys and possibly blues and whites, depending on the type of metal that we're going for. So that'll be another experiment post stream, trying to get the right colours for that, but I'm fairly happy with this combo of colours here for the gold, because the main inspiration of this whole project of doing the gold this way is because of Zigvold coming out. Mentioned Marvel Crisis Protocol earlier. Probably going to do Thanos in the same way, because obviously he has blue and gold armor, but in the comics obviously it wouldn't have been actually gold. It would have been painted in a similar style for the 2D comic book characters. So yeah, I'm going to use the same principles on Thanos, I think, to get him looking as he should do. Okay, so then that, as we add more kind of yellows, that should look a bit better. I tried non-metallic silver before with greys. How did that work out, Andy? Bizarrely, I think the gold is easier to do than the silver, because I don't know, I think you've got more variation in the kind of shades in the silver one. You need to kind of work it up. You need more harsh kind of dark and light areas as well. So I'm kind of put that off a little bit until I've had a practice with the gold. I mean, in theory it's the same principle. You just add in brighter colours where the light's going to hit, while keeping a bit of a reflection effect going on too. So we shall see. We've got this area here, which I think is going to capture the light around there. And then again on the backs of these, Just a few little bits of light glinting here and there. Now what you could do is use extender or maybe a wet palette maybe to keep your paints wet so you can blend up between them. I'm not using a wet palette at the minute, just normal palette and just the paint straight out of the bottle. The Instar stuff is pretty thin, so I haven't tried using a wet palette with them, but I do worry it'd water it down a little bit too much maybe. They do an extender if you do need to keep your paints wet if you want to mix them maybe, so that might be something I experiment with as well. Okay, she's looking okay. And then again we'll go in with the shields, and the shields should be easier to show this effect rather than the other areas we've shown. So holding the shield that way, so we're going to get light coming around here, around this upper curve. And again, some of this we're going to have to touch up when we take this off the sprue. And this side's going to get the light, so we'll see that there. The light hitting there. We'll have the light hitting there. Brush it clean. And the important thing is making sure you've got a point on your brush to make sure you can get into these fiddly areas. So the light will hit that. The light will hit there and there. We'll just get that edge more silver. Boom. We're slowly building up that illusion. And then these bits, obviously these ridges here, will be capturing the light. Try moving this camera a little bit, you might be able to focus a little bit better then. Is that better? There we go, that seems better, doesn't it? So again, we're just slowly working on the areas where the light's hitting. Craig Sinclair, how are we doing? How's it going? Are we having a good day? What are we working on? I'm currently in a land of highlights, working through the gold effect on these Ravagers. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that shield. And again, I don't need to go to town on the inside bits because A, it would be darker anyway, and B, we're not really going to see it on the finished model. So again, just a few little hints of the variation in the gold colour, and then that should be fine. The front's looking okay. Cool. And then we get to the final shield, and we get to do this all over again with another two highlight colours. So let's, where's that being held? Again, it's similar kind of angle. So we should have the light hitting in a similar way. If it doesn't work out, what I can do is just go back in with the wash and then start to pick out the highlights again. Like Andy said in the chat, it is quite a time-consuming process. It's definitely worth taking your time on them, though, I think. Oops. Brush is starting to get a little dry, so we'll just give that a clean. Working on the Ravagers as well. Glazing inks onto the cloaks at the moment to get a really saturated red. Nice, that sounds good. Hit us up on Twitter with some images. I'd love to see those. Got the necromantic horror Blood Bowl team yesterday, which is begging to be assembled. Yeah, we've been chatting Blood Bowl on the stream so far this morning. I think a few of us are tempted by the necromantic horror team. They're really nice models. I've built mine. I can't see them in the room. They're somewhere. I need to get some paint on them. I'll probably just follow Nick's tutorial he did on Warhammer TV. It looked really good. It kind of kept the orange and black Halloween vibe, which I really liked on the studio models. So what we're going to do is just put in these highlights. Yeah, that's looking okay. And then slowly start to pick out these areas where the light's going to be hitting. It does take a while, so like I say, it's just a case of taking your time. I'm all about painting models as quickly as possible, so completely out of my comfort zone with lots of finicky little highlights and stuff. But yeah, that's my goal on these, just trying to learn different techniques. I think they're turning out all right. It's looking more gold than yellow now, so that is a good thing. Put that in there. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. Be a bit more colour around here. A bit more colour around here. That side we're gonna have to tidy up when we take it off the sprue, but it's not the end of the world if it needs to be done. The good thing with this technique is that you've got your colours already mixed, so you can just go in and apply those same colours on it again. And what you can do as well, if you find that an area doesn't quite have that contrast between the light and dark, you can just go in and paint in some more of the shade as well. So I did with Zigvold, just to get kind of on his abs that darker colour. So I think we're looking like we're in position to start doing the second highlight, I guess. So I'm going to switch to a smaller brush just because I'm going to need a bit more control here. In fact, this one we might be okay for this coat, and then the next coat we'll go in with something a bit smaller still. So if we just move the camera, we will get in the first highlight colour, which is a kind of yellowy white. And what I'll do is put some of this on the palette alongside the previous colour I was using, and just kind of mix it into it, just to bridge that transition between them. And then we'll get a nice sharp point on the brush, and we'll do the same again, only this time obviously with a finer highlight, and it's going to be a bit more intense. So again, on the peaks of where the reflections are going to be, and on this edge here, again just building up the illusion of the gold where it's going to be shining. You're able to see it better on, like, when we get to the shields and the weapons. But again, we're just picking out those top areas, building up that non-metallic effect. Come on, focus. So yeah, we're getting there. So onto this bit is where it gets a bit more interesting. We're putting this pure yellow, these areas that are going to be catching the light. Again, we're just getting that feel of the gold gleaming in the sunlight. So put that there. We'll put that there. Do a little bit of a highlight on here. Just slowly starting to get that. Again, we'll just put a little bit of a line in here. Just getting those reflections up. Okay, Andy, just reading the Daughters rundown you guys did on the site, and they look solid. Defo don't want an elf army now. Yeah, I really rate the Malusai and the Canary units. I think they're the real winners from the book. The Shadow Stalkers are really nice too, with their ability to kind of like redeploy. I think they'd be really good objective grabbers. The range on their bows is quite short. I mean, they'd be a solid unit if they could teleport in and do all sorts of shenanigans with those. So they've only got a 6-inch range on the weapons, but yeah, they're really nice. That'll be the army I build. I know we missed it on the write-up, but Marathi's lost a point of rend. It's not the end of the world, personally. I still think she's really good. She still massively buffs the Malusai units as well. So I'll be still taking her. And again, rule of cool, she's a nice model. It's all about the nice models rather than the performance for me. Like I said in the Slanesh write-up, I'll probably still pick up some Slangors, even though they're probably one of the maybe suboptimal choices would be one way of putting it. Okay. I think we are going to have to go back in with the wash just to get the definition between the light and the dark areas up, but pretty happy with how this is going so far. Again, we just need to try and get some sharp highlights on these surfaces where the light's hitting. Okay. And again, on the edge of this sword, we'll have some chunky-ish highlights before we go in with. Basically, after this stage, we've got a lighter yellow, which is a couple of shades lighter, and then we'll be going in with a white as well, just to get the very kind of tips of that. So hopefully that should get the effect that we're after. Again, we'll just pop in these colours. Ba-ba-bum. And again on here, we'll just get in the edges. Okay. So we're starting to build up that effect now. How's that looking, guys? Still a bit yellowy than gold at the minute, but as we bring up the layers, we should get that effect down. So again, we'll give the brush a clean, get some more paint and move on to the next guy. Yeah. So I'm not gonna lie, it is a time-consuming process. It will take a while to pick out all these, so I suppose it's just being patient with it and working your way around each area as you go. On a whole army, if you're trying to batch paint this, you're probably going to lose the patience by the time you get to the last one. Hats off to anyone who can do this kind of effect on an entire army. I think it'll just be little one-off things like this, or characters for me personally. If you can do this across an army, that's amazing, and I want to see it. I've seen some people do some really cool stuff with kind of power armor using the same techniques. Because it can look properly cool. Well outside of my painting skills to be able to do a Space Marine army with awesome reflections on the armour. That would be something that needs practicing in the future, because I think it'd look really, really ace on the battlefield. So let's start picking out the highlights on this. And again, it's just really going to be on the areas that are picking up those reflections in the gold. For a bit of variety as well, we could add in some maybe some green inks around the place just to get that gold effect working a bit better. But yeah, starting to get there. Starting to get the illusion of the gold reflecting. So yeah, pretty happy with that so far. And then we've got the final member of the warband and the shields to do. So let's pop these in here. I'm going to play with this camera, guys. It doesn't seem to be wanting to focus today. Okay. Let's, again, we'll just put a little hint of gold reflections in places. Getting the effect of it reflecting the light. Cool. Yeah, she's starting to get there. I'll tweak that. And a little bit on here. Okay, now we need a little bit on this side. Okay, that's not perfect, but we should be able to fix that up. Yeah, she's getting there. Cool, and then we've got the shields to go. And again, same principle. Give the brush a clean, do a kind of a sharper highlight on them, and then yeah, we're ready for the next highlight level then. So out in the chat, what models are you guys looking forward to that we've seen? I know they've revealed a lot of cool models on some of the streams they've done recently on Warhammer community. Anything in particular you guys are really looking forward to? I kind of want to paint that fox spirit for the Lumineth. Not as an army, just as a little fun project to do. Likewise, some of the other stuff we've seen, like the Titan, I'm absolutely going to have to get because it looks beautiful. The War Master Titan, named after Horus himself, so that's going to have to go in the army, isn't it? And then the Sisters of Battle stuff looks pretty interesting too, with those power suits that they've got. And something we saw a while ago that that hasn't been released yet is the new Treebeard model as well. I've wanted to do an Ent army for Lord of the Rings for a long time, but was put off by the old Treebeard, so super happy to see a new one on the way. And I think, I may be going mad, but I think we saw the named Ents as well get models. So what was it, Quick Beam and I forget what the other one's called. The new models from Forge World for them. Rising Ape, very tempted by the Slaneshi Mortals. Ooh. Andy, I can't remember half the stuff now. Treebeard. Do you folks play Necromunda? What do you think of the Return of the Redemptionist? So, there was a article on Warhammer Community last night, and I haven't got around to reading it yet. But I I'd be up for doing a Redemptionist Force. I used to read the comic from Warhammer Monthly back in the day, and yeah, that was cool. So if we do get the Redemptionists, that'd be ace. You know, can't go wrong going setting light to people. I think we're getting there with the gold on that shield now. That's looking okay, isn't it? And we will, again, don't need to be too fussy on this bit because it is going to be hidden close to the body. We're just getting some of those gold highlights in. Again, we'll kind of just tidy up with the black where we've gone over at the end. So, the key thing when you're doing this is just make sure you've always got a point on your brush. So if you need to stop and give the brush a clean, just do it. I'm using the wrong colour there. It's that one. Yeah, just give it a clean, make sure it's sharp, because it's going to make it a lot easier to control your brush, especially when you're doing lots of fiddly highlights like this. So again, we'll go down the side of this main yellow area and just start to pick out some of these colours here. Can be a little fiddly, but I guess it's good practice for highlighting. Rising Ape says, I played Ratskins back in the day. I'd love to see them again. Yeah, I do wonder if they're going to kind of like reimagine a lot of the old Necromunda stuff. What I'd love to see is kind of maybe a vehicle supplement set in the wastes outside, based on the Gorkamorka rule set, because Gorkamorka was very much a modified Necromunda based on vehicles, and I think that'd be really fun to see kind of added to Necromunda. We've already got hints of it with the Orlocks kind of managing the transport routes between the various hives. So I think that'd be a fun thing for them to add into this new edition of the game. Also the Spires, the kind of rich kids from the Spires who got the cool kind of like flight suits and stuff. They'd be really fun to add to the game. Psychers as well. There's not really many Psychers that we've seen so far in this edition. And the what were they called? The weird little monster creatures that they had. Oh, I actually want to say milliput or something. They were like weird little monstery things that crawled around. They were really fun. I think there's quite a bit of models that haven't been released for the kind of units out of their House of Gangs books. So we've got the kind of like weird arachno skull thing that the Van Sar have. We've got the various affiliate guilds that you can add to your force. I think we need models for them. So I remember rightly, I think the first quarter this year was focused on adding some of those, and then Cawdor and Dilac in their books then the following few quarters. So yeah, we'll see. Okay, so now we've got another kind of brighter yellow that we're going to go in and again just do a finer highlight with. And again, this we're going to be a bit more controlled on where we put it, because it just wants to be really on the very kind of edgemost bits where the light's hitting them. So pop that there, pop that there, pop that there, and then what we'll do is we'll follow this up with like a pure white highlight for the very topmost area. where the light's hitting it. So this is where it gets a little bit fiddly. Not super convinced on that bit. Let's try that again. So okay, that's a little bit better. I think we're going to see a little bit of a reflection here as well. Just going to put some lines there where it's picking up some of the light that's being cast around the model. Again, this area we'll see it just down here, and then again we should be able to just pick the upmost areas on this sword up, and just as it's casting those reflections again. Yeah, that's alright. Again, we'll put a pinprick of light there, and again on there. And then we just need a little edge highlight on this bit. Just catching the light there. Cool, okay, happy with him. We'll just join that there. Just to make sure he looks alright from all angles. This Mega Gargant is defo a labour of love. Which Mega Gargant are you building, Andy? I really enjoyed doing the Kraken Eater, and I think that was probably the fiddliest of them. Logic being start with that one, and then the other two shouldn't be too hard to paint in comparison. Definitely enjoyed painting mine up. Big, nice, chunky model. I was going to do a guide on how to paint my Gargants as well, but I think it's all on Twitter. If I remember, I might get that all together into a post on the website. Just how I did like the skin tones and stuff, because I really enjoyed. You've got kind of a bigger surface area to play with the skin, so I really enjoyed painting those. Again, we'll do a little bit more yellow on there and on here. Okay, that's looking okay. We'll do the back of the model here. So again, just around the tops where the light's going to be hitting, we'll do a bit more of a highlight of that yellow, and then on the skull, just on these horns here, over the eyes, basically where the light's going to hit it. And then finally just on these very edges here. Okay, that is looking all right. So clean our brush, again move on to the next one. Andy, I've only got Destruction and Chaos armies at the moment, so I'm doing the War Stomper as I can put it in all of my armies. Okay, cool. That's fun. The War Stomper. I think I've got him built up. I need to build the Gatebreaker next, and then I'll paint the two of them up. Probably do them at the same time, just because got similar colours on the go. May as well batch paint giants. The problem is there's been so much cool stuff released recently. I've been distracted from the giants. I suppose the fact that we're not playing games hasn't helped either, because obviously I'll be taking the Giants along to tournaments and stuff because that'll be fun. But yeah, there's no tournaments at the minute, so I've been really, for the last few months, been focusing on kind of little one-off warbands like this. I've been doing some historical stuff, some boats for Black Seas. In fact, out in the chat, I tend to paint kind of workshop figures on here, but would you like to see some historical stuff on the channel? For something a bit different. I know not everybody's into that kind of thing, but I did thoroughly enjoy painting up the boats that I did for Black Seas and doing all the rigging. I'm not sure 2 hours of watching me rig boats would be the most entertaining thing to watch, but if enough people want to see it, I can do it. It's a bit of a fiddly job that involves me swearing at a small piece of string. Come on. So yeah, it does take a while. Looks really good when it's done though. We're really happy with how it turns out, but oh boy is it time consuming. And then outside of that, I think the Marvel stuff we'll probably paint on the stream. I think that'll be a bit of fun. Get yourself some Winter Soviets for Bolt Action. I haven't actually played Bolt Action, Craig. It is definitely something I'd look into though. I've enjoyed painting up some historical stuff. I think the next project after my Black Seas fleets are done is some black powder Napoleonics. So I've got a British and French force to paint for them as well. That is very much going to be kind of quick and easy paint jobs, because I'm not spending the rest of my life painting a million Napoleonic models to Golden Demon quality. That's not going to happen. Andy says some Marvel stuff would be cool to see. Well, I'll tell you what, we might, next Sunday, we might start painting some Marvel stuff. That'll be a bit of fun. Maybe the Guardians of the Galaxy. Okay. So he's looking a bit yellow rather than gold. I might have to go back in with some of the wash on this guy. The other guy's looking okay though, and the shields are turning out okay, so I think we're getting there. Shields in particular, actually, I'm quite happy with them. So let's pop on the next load of highlights for that. Give the brush a bit of a clean. Craig Sinclair, it's a great game, really like the mechanics. I think Black Powder plays similar to Bolt Action. Okay, cool. Yeah, I think a lot of the Warlord games ones do. I think they were written by Jervis Johnson and Rick Priestley of Warhammer fame. So yeah, I'll have to have a look at them. It's nice to have a variety every now and then. You know, I think Games Workshop have learned this with, you know, you've got stuff like Blood Bowl and Necromunda. It's nice to have a little force to just have as a palette cleanser, to do something a bit different and add a bit of I don't know, different styles to paint, different things to do. It really helps the hobby side of things. And for a long time, I think there was a worry that the kind of offshoot games cannibalised sales from Warhammer and 40k. Where I think now they've realised actually those different games can coexist. So really happy that specialist stuff's back from Games Workshop. There we go. That's looking more metallic, isn't it? And we will go in again with just the edge highlights on this, just getting that illusion of light shining on the shield. And then after this, really, we've just got some pinpricks of white to add. And then we're not far off, bar maybe a glaze and a couple more washes. So, we should have enough time. We should have enough time on the stream to get some white on the go. And then, yeah, what I might do is just mute down some of the crevices again with the brown wash. And then, yeah, we'll be looking pretty good. I've got a tiny bit of white left in this. Let's use the end of this white for this job. Don't need much here. Just enough to put like a pinprick of light, just to give the illusion. And mix a little bit of the yellow in with it as well. Okay, so move back to this one. Again, it's really only going to be on those uppermost surfaces where the light's hitting it. So on the little rivet there, on the top here, just to give the illusion that the light is reflecting off it. Again, we'll do that on here. And a few little just tiny highlights of white. Again, just giving it that illusion of being metallic. Okay. Likewise on this one, it's going to be kind of like a line down here. On these, oh, I've messed that up. On these extreme edges. I can fix that with some wash. Just getting these final little bits of light in place. Or it's just catching the sun at full pelt. If you want a more muted effect, you can probably use browns rather than yellows. I wanted a proper kind of like vibrant gold for this. So that's looking okay. Again, ooh, that's not good. What we'll do is just get most of that paint off. We'll try again. I went a bit stray on that one there at the end, but the show must go on. What I can do is go back in and just tidy up some of the colours where I've got that a bit skew-iff with the whites. It's not the end of the world. Then same on here. We're just going to be picking those areas where the light's going to be hitting the most. Again, just getting that reflection style in. We'll have a little bit on this horn here, and then on here, again, it's just going to be on those topmost areas where the light's going to be hitting. Yeah, that needs fixing, but bar that, she's looking okay. We'll then move on to the next guy. Again, just putting a little highlight on the topmost areas. Just where the light's hitting. He's looking more like it. There, the thing on his head. And then the shield. And again, we'll just be picking out the edges here. So yeah, this is the real fiddly bit, but I think that looks all right there. I love that Slambo sculpt. Yeah, he's they're all throwbacks to old models. The units in this warband, which I think is a nice touch. I think most of them are based on either old school Golden Demon specials, which I think is really ace. Cool, right, he's done. Need to clean my brush, get some more whites, finish the gold on him, do the shields, and then I think alas, that's going to be our lot for the stream today. It's I know I've not done a lot in 2 hours there, but it's a time-consuming process doing the trim on this gold. So let's get some white. I really should open a new white. I'm using like the very dregs of this bottle, but I may as well use what's left before I chuck it. So again, we're going to have some pinpricks of white on the edge of this. Just where the light's hitting on here. So yeah, by no means a pro at non-metallic metal, but thought I'd give it a go, and I think it's turning out alright. It's quite happy with the effect that we're getting here. If nothing else, it's given us something to play with for the last 2 hours, so that is always a plus. I'm nearly there. I'll just put some white at the very top of these spikes where the light's going to be hitting it. How's that looking? That's looking better than it did. Cool. And then we've got the shields. These shouldn't take too much work to finish off, to be honest, because they're nearly there anyway. Again, it's just going to be a case of putting those super sharp highlights on some of the highest points. So again, just where the light's going to be hitting. Again, worth taking your time on this bit. Cool. I say, once these get clipped off, I'm going to have to tidy them up anyway. But I think we're starting to get that gold effect. Quite happy with that. I think maybe just a little bit of something on here. Yep, happy with that one. And then the other one, we'll pop in some highlights. This one's actually easier because you've got these sharp ridges. It's going to be easier to get the effect. So just towards the bottom of these, we'll put some white. Again, that's looking a bit more shiny now. And then we'll just edge in a little bit down here and on here. We'll just touch those rivets. A tiny bit of white up there, and along this edge here as well. And there we go, some gold. Yeah, happy with how that one's turned out. Quicks and Clicks says, by the way, how amazing is that Bliss Barb arch kit? Yeah, I really like the Bliss Barb archers. They look really nice. They're a cool kit. I like the weird homunculus that you get in the unit as well, whose job is to basically give them +1 to wounds. I think they look really good. Andy, what did you say? You can see the gold effect coming through. Cheers, Andy. Yeah, it's getting there. I need to tidy up a few of them. I think I need a bit more contrast in some of the areas. On the shields, I think it's worked a little bit better just because you've got a bigger area to work with. So what I'll probably do once this is dry, go back in with a more kind of focused wash in the recesses. And then I might just tie it all together with a yellow glaze just to bring the different layers through. But yeah, pretty happy with how it's turned out, guys. So let's get these guys in shots. We're nearly there, really. Finish off the gold. Then we just need to do a similar effect with the silver, and then paint the bases, and we're done with the Ravagers. So yeah, really happy with the progress today. Thanks a lot for you guys for sticking around and watching me paint this as well. Like I say, if there's ever any requests for stuff that you'd like me to paint, then give me a shout, and we can sort that out in a future stream. But yeah, thanks a lot for the support. As ever, check out all the content over on spruesandbrews.com. We've got loads of stuff there and loads of videos. We've got the reviews of both the Slaanesh and the Daughters of Cain book as well. So yeah, until next time, we'll see you guys later, and have fun painting.